morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're joining from. Happy Thursday. Thursday is probably going to be my favorite day when it comes to content creation because I get to talk about relationship and faith. Two things that and two areas that really means a lot to me. So I'm super excited to be sharing this side of myself with those who follow. So good morning, good afternoon. Let me know where you're joining from. I also have Instagram going on here. Osita, good morning. Let me know where you're joining from, which country, which state, which city. I'm here in Chicago, and let me know where you're joining from again. So I'll get right to it. I see Falake okay commented on my okay. Good to see you. Thank you so much. So today is an unusual. Probably this is the first time that I'll be sharing this type of deep dive content. The people who know me, like in real life, they know that this is a huge side of me in terms of real life, not just work, right? Most people see me out there, we talk about business, international trade, and all of that. But behind the scene, I actually do life with people I care about, people I love. And today's topic is around communication, right? How do we communicate with the people that we love, that the people we do life with? And today, I want to focus really heavily on how we communicate with ourselves. I know you weren't expecting that. So, the first person you're supposed to really care about and you're supposed to love really well that you do life with is yourself. So today on maybe other weeks I'll dive deeper into more of spouses and whatever, right? But today, when it comes to the power of communication, I want to dive deeper into self-talk. How do I engage? How do I talk to myself? Because that is the most important conversation in the world, the conversation we have with ourselves. So I see Mr. Felipe joining from Mexico. How are you? Muchas gracias. Thank you so much for joining today. Good morning. And thank you also for those joining on Instagram as well. So the power of communication, I think the power of words, the power of thoughts, the power of vision, the power of mission. These are the things that determine what we see about ourselves, what we see of other people, what we see about the world, and then how we show up and the opportunities we kind of go after. It's all determined by the conversations that nobody sees, the one we're having with ourselves. And that's why sometimes people talk about negative self-talk. Literally, you've actually caged yourself into a corner and you've limited the things by the negative self-talk. You've told yourself, you've come up with all kinds of stories that becomes true. So here's the key. The first thing is whatever story you believe is your reality. First thing, okay? Whatever story you believe, good, bad, ugly, whatever story you believe in your mind, that is the reality for you. Boom. So you have to watch out for the story you're telling yourself, the story you're believing, because we experience this world, right, through what we see of ourselves and what we see of other people and what we give ourselves permission to become. That's the first thing, right? What story have you told yourself? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? And the story we tell ourselves is influenced by so many things, right? Say as young, fresh people in this world, those stories could be crafted by your family of origin, your siblings, your parents, what you hear them say about the world. I call it the programming, right? They tell you a story that they also believe and they pass it down to you, to us. And if that story is corrupted, this thing is too serious, eh? But I always say when it's too serious, just make it funny because you don't want wrinkles. Don't give yourself wrinkles, eh? So as young, just go back to 6, 7 years, you have this mindset about who you are, who the world around, like what the world around you is, what opportunity, how the world even perceives you. So, for example, me, black, female, African, there is a story that has been sold in terms of how the world should perceive black, female, African, young, whatever. There is a story, but do I buy into it? Oh, no, 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 no. I'm doing my own thing. But many people, they've taken that story and they've made it their own reality. Whatever that story is, I don't even care. Right? That's what I mean. Black, male, whatever, this living in America, this living in UK. This is the story that has been told for you. If you believe it, if you buy into it, it is your reality. If you don't, then you don't. That's what I mean. It's about the communication, the stories we're telling ourselves, and the ones the world is telling us, and whether you buy into it or not, and what you decide for yourself. It's so important. Dr. Nimrod said, interesting topic. Absolutely, because this is what determines success, your success, and the success you pass on to the next generation. It's part of the story we believe about ourselves, the story that was passed down to me by my parents, the one I believe about myself, is what determines what I get to do. Because if I believe that opportunities are kept for some exclusive people, if you believe it, that means you're not going to go after it. But I don't believe it. I don't subscribe to that. I'm like, those opportunities, I am a child of God. This is where faith mixes into this thing. Silver and gold is mine, says my father. So that stuff my father owns is mine too. He's not kept for some. My late dad used to say they don't have two heads. So you better go after. You better compete. This is why this thing is important. I know maybe people don't want to talk about it, but this is real. Olufinke joining again from Kutonu. Thank you so much for joining today. Thursdays, I think, is going to be my best days because I get to just take people behind the scene to talk about mindset, faith, relationship, things that drive me. And I also want to learn from you. We get to share, we get to build a community around this conversation. So all I'm doing is offering you what I know. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just saying I know enough. I know enough to show up, and I'm learning every single day. I want to know more. So I want to hear from you. Steve from Cameroon. Hello, Steve. So today we're talking about the power of communication. We're talking about faith and relationship. That's Thursdays. And then today is the power of communication. In particular, I also want to talk about how we communicate with the people we love. But for today, that person that we love is ourselves. Let's start with ourselves before we start talking about spouses and co-workers and employees, employers, all of. We will get into it in other. If you stick with me, I'll dive into that. But the first one, the first most important person that you're supposed to fall in love with, and you need to be very, very careful how you're communicating with, is yourself. Ourselves, me, myself, and I, my mind. God said, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So that story in your heart, in your mind, is who you are. It's your reality. Whether from a relationship, from a success, from a wealth creation, business dynamic, the opportunities you go after, opportunities you create for other people. If you buy into other stories that tells you those things are not for you, you've already limited what God can do in and through you. Why? That's why this thing is important. So I'll use an example, a story from the Bible. So I'm being Toyin the faith talk, inspiration talker today. This is what I'm promising you guys behind the scene. Let's go into a story in the Bible of the Israelites. Israelites. I'm not even saying it right. You know what I'm talking about if you carry your Bible on that, anyway. They left the Egypt and God had a plan for them. In God's mind, okay, God had a design, a place that he said would flow with milk and honey. So that's God's plan. His ultimate goal is to take them from a place, a limited place, a place where they were in bondage, a place that didn't value them, a place that used them, a place that tolerated them, a place that beat them down. And in God's mind, God said, I'm taking you from that place to a new dimension that is flowing with milk and honey, a place where even the houses you didn't build, the things you didn't work for, you're going to participate and enjoy. I'm taking you to serve me, to worship me, to live for me. That is God's plan. That's the story. That's God's story. Now, the people, which story did they believe? Which story did they believe? In terms of communication, what story did they tell themselves? By the time they got to that place, what they saw of that place and the story they told themselves made them miss out on that grand ultimate plan. Okay, let's personalize this. This world has all kinds of opportunities. God has things planned for you and I. But the story we believe, oh, I am this. The giants, there are giants there. I am ants, this. That narrative of, oh, let me be direct, I'm black. It's for this. Oh, I'm female. It's for this. Oh, these opportunities are that gymnastic, that stuff would definitely limit if you're going to enter that dynamic space that God has intentions. It's for you, but how you see yourself. Now, to be clear, just because that space is for you doesn't mean you will not work for it. So several things were happening with the Israelites, right? The way they saw themselves, the conversations they had with themselves, what they decided to believe. They decided to believe the 10 spies that say, whoa, time out. This place ain't for us. They're already giants and other people, whatever color, whatever people they are in the world, they are ruling in that dimension. And we're not up to them. We don't have the skills, the talents, we are like nothing. We have nothing. That's a story they decided to believe because they forgot the God that said, the God that backed them, the God that saw them through those. They decided not to listen to that. And then what happened? This is the story most people do not understand. Okay? What happened to them was they ended up living the rest of their life in a storyline that wasn't God's intention. So they had to turn around and they went back. And for the rest of their life, they roamed. They were still living life. They were still eating, drinking, getting married, having kids, living normal life. But to God, He'll be looking at them. This wasn't my plan for my kids. This wasn't my original plan. They are living a life I didn't plan for them. Why? Because of the story they've told themselves, because they're not ready to fight for what I've given them, because they're not ready to ABCD, whatever it is. And God is like, okay, that mindset, you die with that mindset. Hopefully the next generation will believe something different. That's why the power of communication is going to determine if you key into the opportunities. Because the way the world is right now, the next 2 years, the future of the world is being created right now. NFTs, blockchain, the future. Some people are on the sideline and saying it's not for me. Oh, I don't have this. You are telling yourself all the story of what you do not have. Meanwhile, some other people are jumping in, the Joshuas and the Calebs. They're like, we will fight. We'll figure this thing out. Even if we just go round and round, this Jericho is for, we are going in. Like this NFT, this blockchain, we must figure it out. This influencer, social media, this metaverse is for me. It's not for just them. But if you believe it's not, it's you don't. Oh, remember in the last era, a lot of people that built the stock market, as example, the stock market was ruled and dominated by certain people, and they built wealth on this mechanism called the stock market. Another stock market is here, the metaverse, the blockchains of the world, the NFTs. You and I know. What are you going to do? Are you going to stay outside and say, I have nothing? Or are you going to say, with God on my side, let's learn, let's figure this thing out? It's part of the power of communication. So I'm seeing comments. Oladeji, thank you so much. I'm not going to read. Thank you so much. Steve said they doubted God's narrative. May God preserve us from the weighty, empty lies of yes. So the lies are always going to be there. The words are always going to be there. It's, are you going to pick it up and make it yours? What story are you going to make yours? Like, what are you going to believe? What are you going to tell yourself? You know, that's why I love this scripture. It says, those who know their God, what would they do? They're going to do exploits. Like when you start seeing God through a dimension, when you start seeing him as a master strategist, when you start seeing how he moves, when you start connecting with his plans and you start moving with his own rhythm, and you start stepping into places he's stepping into, and you start saying that he has empowered you, you can be ABC, whatever. Because here is it, God has his plan. You have your plan agenda. You need to mirror. And the way to mirror your plan with God's plan is faith. That's where faith comes in. And that's why it says you cannot please God without faith. Because he has his plan for you. And you have to trust his plan is better than yours. God's plan for me is better than myself, my plan. That's why I'm showing up in this dimension. Left to me, I want to be, but I feel like I need to show up in this dimension. Like I've been pushed. I've been pushed to show up and show this side of Toyin. So that's his plan, and I yield to it because behind God's plan, whether we understand it, we don't understand it, it's always it's greater than my plan for myself. That's why I said Thursdays are my favorite. It's going to be my favorite day in terms of just being able to show up in this space. Like the people who know me, who I do life with, they know me. They know me. They know me. They understand this side of me really well because all of the things that I do out there that people see is based on these principles that I'm now sharing. Like with my God, I can scale a wall. those verses like mighty, mighty. I will go into those rooms, go into this space. I also remember years ago when I was starting Trade with Africa and all of those things. One of the stories in the Bible that really I held on to was this idea that there were some leopards. So there was famine in a state, in a country. I'm saying state, well, back then, right? And a prophet said, by this time tomorrow, like everything will be over, there will be abundance. And people were like, no. One person was like, no. Even if God opens the heaven, not his story, right? Even if God opens the heaven, he's forgotten the story of manna, that God can open the manna and do something great. But that person said, okay, because you said that, because you told yourself that story and you voiced it out, you're not going to taste of it. And that's why it's so important. I also tell people, like, for example, Nigeria or any other African country, when you open your mouth, you're going to eat the fruit of what you believe and speak about your country and your nation. It becomes your reality. If you say it's a fantastic nation, it's a great nation, you will be, its greatness is your greatness. If you say the nation is not great, then you are not, because you are of it, and you eat of that words. So you have to be careful. So when I host investment summits and I say trade with Africa, I believe in the greatness of the continent, and I will eat, and I am eating of that. If I say trade investment summit, this, that, is because I choose to see the greatness of its people, of the culture, of the land. And I don't just think it, I embody it, I celebrate it, I show up as a proud African. a proud African American, call it whatever. But I let my African side speak with greatness and strength. Now, other people may say, oh, this, I'm like, I wish me, this African. I remember talking to a CEO once. I said, don't even remember my name. Just say this African, blah, blah, blah. Just remember me with that because of the greatness of the people and of the place. Now, other people may choose to see something else. That's you. It becomes whatever you see, that's your reality. So let's watch out for that. Let's really watch out for the power of communication. What we say to ourselves, how we see ourselves, because it also commands your vision. Like, where do you see yourself going? Because your vision should then drive your mission. Your mission should be getting you closer to what you see. The version of you that you see that is not yet material, that hasn't materialized, that hasn't been created, but in your mind is a reality. It's how you speak to yourself every single day. So let me see what you guys think. This is my first time of this is so, I mean, like this stuff, the fierceness of it in my mind, like you really have to. So that scripture really, it's so important for us. It's like, oh, by tomorrow there'll be abundance in your city. The person decided no, even if God blah blah blah, there is no, like that person just shut off their own source. How you communicate with yourself, what you say to yourself is your source of life, is your source of wealth, is your source of well-being, is your source, it's your reality. So for today, again, I just wanted to tackle the whole personal communication, me, myself, and I. How do I communicate myself with myself? Am I gentle with myself? Am I giving myself permission to be, to go, to do? Am I doing that? Ask yourself this. Are you giving yourself the grace and permission to be all that you can be here in this world? Do you feel empowered to do everything God has called you to do? Do you trust that He has equipped you? Right? Are you having those conversations with yourself? The other thing I want to talk about, Olufunke says, "Hey, rebellious people, may we not?" Let me, oh my God, let me start showing you guys. Please keep it coming. A rebellious people, like for real. But let's bring it to today. Today, as we see it today. Look at the streets of social media. Just look around you. The tone, the energy with which the things people are spewing, like we have to remove ourselves from such spaces. Either you bring the light, like you have to bring the light. We all have to bring, even if it's just one candle, we have to start bringing light because there's a lot of darkness out there in terms of words people are speaking to one another, all of that. But let me get into the second aspect of this when it comes to communication, the power of communication and what we do say, how we communicate with ourselves. That's the conversation for today. Thank you so much for everyone joining on Instagram. Let me just acknowledge a few people here. Angie, Ayo Banton, Oje Osita, Mike Wonder 25. Thank you, Glamour Lights, Mus Queens. I hope I said it well. EY, The Sage, Africa Coaching and Mentorship. Hello, good to see you. Cinnabite, Farai today, Omolola, Olari Bigbe. Good to see you. D Camelo 15. Thank you so much. If you have any questions or you just want to say what is also true for you, please just drop it. I want this to be as interactive as possible as well. So thank you so much. The other side of communication that is so important is how do we validate our emotions, our feelings. Many cultures, I'll talk about it through the lens of culture, because I usually say nature nurture culture has an impact on what we go after, what we do. So think about my nature, my nurture, the programming, how you were raised, that thing is there. Okay. And then the culture in which we were raised, also shapes how what we see of ourselves and what we see of other people, right? It does. Like we can't deny these things. I say it as it is, and maybe that's why I need to do this, because we we operate out of this dimension, but we don't talk enough about it so that we can correct it. Like it's like you need to debug. We need to debug all of the systems so that we can function better. There's always more. There's always better if we fix all these things, right? So the next thing I want to talk about, like I was saying, is validating your emotions. There are many cultures that invalidates, forces you, and doesn't validate your perspective, your voice, your experiences, and your identity, your who you are. Okay. So if you were raised in certain spaces or family dynamic or cultural dynamic that um puts expectations on you and say, this is how you talk, this is what you should do, this is how you are in relation with your spouse, this is what is expected of you. Fine. It's good to know what is expected of you. But when what is expected of you crushes your being, the person you love, there is an internal tornado brewing that spills, finds ways to just spew out, like we're like this robotic. We go out of because we malfunction. We go, yeah, you guys asked for this version of Toei. Like, it's like you shock people. Like somebody comes close to you, not knowing what the energy, the person touches you, pokes you, and you're like, "Zzz," and the person is like shocked, and you're like frozen. These things are real. Okay, going back to how do you validate your emotions? You have to. Now, you have to sit with your reality. Like every time you feel displaced, every time you feel some people say incongruent, like it's not aligned, your internal dynamic, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to find the best way to describe it. Maybe you're in a workplace, you're in a relationship, you're in a church, you're in a space that doesn't validate, that pushes an agenda on you and says this is what's expected of you. Maybe a title, don't talk this way. So okay, let me even use another example. So let's say as immigrants, the African side of us speaks loudly, speaks, you know because that's who we are in our DNA. But you find yourself in certain spaces, maybe corporate America, and it's like you're muzzled up, right? You need to find outlets for those energy. You need to find a way of being yourself. Yes, the world may say, well, in this environment, we don't use our hands to speak, we talk this way, we talk hello, fine, fine. But are you yourself? Are you yourself? Because here's the thing: either you tell people to make room for you, or they suck the air out of you. It's your decision. But the first thing is inside of you. Validate. Listen to yourself and say, whoa, you're being muzzled. What are you going to do about? Because when we don't validate and listen to ourselves and say that feeling is valid, you feel someone has treated you in an unjust way, you have to talk to yourself and say, okay, this is how I feel. What are we going to do about it? Because if you don't have those conversations with yourself, it's when you start bzz, bzz, bzz. You buzz your spouse, your wife, you buzz your everybody around you, that buzz, 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 and they're like, whoa, what's wrong with that person? It's because you've not addressed all of those things, right? So just watch out for how you listen to yourself, and finding creative ways to suit yourself. Yeah, I use the word suit. I'm looking for a good way to express it. Like when we've been ruffled, if you have to find healthy ways of making yourself to suit yourself back to your, should I say, equilibrium. I'm looking for the English word to say stabilize your emotions back and feel centered and feel good. A lot of times many people do not have the skills to suit themselves, and then they take it out on other people. And this is something I'm learning. The reason I can explain this is because I had to learn it for myself. is that there is a skill set of listening, validating our emotions, acquiring the skills and the resources and to process those emotions and to do it in a productive way that you say, I know how you're feeling right now. I know how you're feeling. You're upset. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to almost like, because otherwise, there's a kid in us. I'm going deep, okay? There's a kid in us that throws tantrum, right? That wants attention. And then as adults, if we've not mastered how to manage that side of us, that's the power of communication, is listening. So communication is listening, which also translates to listening to other people, right? So if you master communications with yourself, and let me say this, the richness of how we talk to ourselves is what determines how we actually talk to other people. Let me try and break that down. We cannot talk to other people like the strengths and the skills when we do a better job of talking to ourselves is the same. It's out of that we can give other people. So we can't give what we do not have. A lot of times people fake it. Oh yeah, they put a smile on, like they make you feel good, but when you get close like that, bzz, 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 we shock one another, right? Do you I hope I'm not just talking to myself. I hope this is helpful to somebody, even if it's just one person. I'll take it. I'll take it. So like, if this is making sense, if this makes sense. So what I'm saying is, this skill of communicate, the power of communicating with ourselves in a very loving way, in a very understanding way, in a very gentle way, also in a way that we challenge ourselves. So you challenge yourself to see better, do better, right? You drive. That's why you have to be self-driven, self-motivated, right? What we offer ourselves, out of that is what we can then offer other people. So that's why I'm starting with me, myself, and I. Like, there's no point for me coming out here and telling you everything if I'm not investing in myself. In fact, I care deeply about this person. I care. And I'm giving you permission to care. Care first about yourself, because guess what? Your relationship with your spouse, your coworker, your boss, your employee, your employer, your church members, your whatever, it gets better. It gets better. At least that's what I have found, is that uh, when I don't figure this out, I shock people. We all shock people. So anyway, that's the other thing. So the key point is validate your emotions, listen to yourself, and then find positive ways of suiting and finding solutions to all of that first. And then out of that is what we relate with one another. I see Oladeji also sharing mindset, standards of expectation determines communication unless mindset is reset. Okay, I like that. Mindset reset. So that's great. So that's it for today. I'm keeping it really concise, and I hope that has helped. Let me know what you think. Do you want more of this? This is me, guys. Yes, there are other days. The other thing I'm doing, right? So I have 3 membership. There's a membership that is free, that is for women, the 360 Women Ministry. You can find it on my website, the 360 Women Ministry. Oh, let me put my website out for those watching. So it's toyinumesiri.com. Let me use another that is bigger font. So toyinumesiri.com. So I have a membership that is 360 Women, and it's faith-based. So and women who want to live life out of clarity with passion, clarity, and direction, right? It comes with, we want to see clearly. We want to have direction want to know where we're going. We want to see clearly. And I say it's like when you're in a car, you need to know where you're going. You need to see clearly. If you don't see clearly, can you drive? I don't think so, right? Get in the driver's seat, and we need direction from God. We need to see clearly, right? And we need passion. We need motivation to keep moving forward. So that's a space for faith-based women, the 360 Women. It's the 360woman.org if you want to find the website, but it's a ministry. The other membership I have is for entrepreneurs. So those who are new to entrepreneurship and they want to quickly learn the foundational structures they need to put in place, how to structure their business, I have a membership for that. It's toyinumesiri.academy. And then the next level of membership that I have is on international trade with Africa, where I teach export development, export trade and investment facilitation, like working with government and policymakers and investors. Like it's really intense. And that's where most people see me operating in that dimension. And I have to say, the price is going up for those membership this weekend. So if you're someone that you've been saying, oh, I need to join Toyin's membership, this is the time. You have like 48 hours to key into those, I think. And then by this weekend, the structure is going to change because I'm adding on more solutions, more service. In fact, many of the live and the weekly engagements is going to move into those spaces, and it's going to be kept private now. So that's why the inspirational side still stays as is, but the work side moves back into the private network where people are networking and doing business. So maybe what I'm saying is that you're going to be seeing this version of doing more. It's almost like a trade-off. I'm taking my work private. I'm bringing this side public. Whereas before now it's been, you see me walk, walk, walk. You don't see this side of spiritual dimension, mindset, inspiration side of Toyin. There's now a shift. It's going to be reversed. So anyway, watch out for more. And that is it. It's a wrap. Happy Thanksgiving for those in the US. I'm going to be taking a nice Thanksgiving break. I don't know if I'm doing turkey this year. That turkey stuff, eh? I have some machines and gadgets that helps with that. But yeah, Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. Today is Thursday. Thank you so much for this amazing week of me showing up in a new space, in a new way. And then thank you for everyone that was part of this week. And I want to wish everyone in the US happy Thanksgiving for next week. So we'll see you then. And so that's it. Right. Any other questions, please head over to toyinumesiri.com/ask Toyin. You can submit your questions there. You can DM me whatever questions you have, and even feedback or even follow up from a life coaching standpoint. So I know so many people privately have been asking me, Toyin, do you have a mentorship program? Toyin, do you have this? I'm still working on different things, and I'm open to advice, right? Because for me, I want to always because I'm a strategist and I live out of structure, everything has to be done from a structure standpoint. So thank you so much, Yinka Detoy. Oh, good to see you, Jamila NG. I'm going to stay a little bit with Instagram, but I'm going to cut the stream on the other platforms. Please do share, comment, let me know what you think about this topic, because other weeks I'll dive deeper into the power of communication. Maybe I'll move more into like how that then translates into the relationships with the people we love, right? But today it's about, I love me. How am I talking to myself? What am I seeing? What story am I believing about myself? And is it aligned with God's plan for me, or do I need to tweak? We are the ones to align ourselves to his ultimate plan, and his plan for us, his plan for us is always better than our plan for ourselves. So remember that. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye.